The Demon Slayer movie, apparently the best anime movie of all time, for Japan. So what's up guys, Fox in here. The Demon Slayer movie just came out here in Japan. Also funny how the theaters here in Tokyo just happen to bring back full capacity for this opening weekend. Japan freaking loves Demon Slayer. But is it worth the hype? Let's go ahead and jump into my non-spoiler review. So go ahead and demon slash that like for the adorable Nezuko. Hit pat the bell and let's dive into this. To kick this off, the Demon Slayer movie is unsurprisingly canon. If you have seen the Demon Slayer anime, the movie starts off with Tanjiro and friends literally like 5 seconds after the previous episode. Time to board the Demon Slayer train to find the next demon gem. By the title of the movie, Demon Slayer Mugen Train, Mugen Train. Weirdly, they didn't translate that into Infinity Train. Huh. Either way, like the name suggests, you're going to be spending most of this movie on this long train ride. And yes, this movie does feel like this extended trip, if you catch my drift. I am anime only for Demon Slayer, or technically I was before going into this movie. This train arc covers 16 chapters. Anyway, getting into the positives for the characters, Tanjiro. If you love Tanjiro, if you want to just give him a tug, then you're gonna go gaga over how much there is of him here. This movie heavily focuses on Tanjiro by a huge margin. I'm not gonna get into the actual details, but one of the things I did like about Tanjiro was him reflecting back on his siblings and family that got killed in episode 1. You do get a glimpse of this in the trailer. And I'll put it out there, it has been a while since I've seen the anime. That's another huge positive for Tanjiro. Let's just say he does get pretty resourceful in important battles. Inosuke. For the movie, they definitely play him mostly and very strongly for comedy here. He even has a scene towards the end that's supposed to be sad, but also funny at the same time. Somehow they managed to blend the two. Zenitsu. You know how much I hated how loudly they kept on making this guy. For this movie, I feel like Ufotable took the complaint to heart, since you do see Zenitsu screaming his ass off, but this time it's noticeably more toned down. Really a huge plus. I felt this actually allowed the rest of his character to shine through. Nezuko. Nezuko is, well, Nezuko. Back to being the adorable Imoto doggy character. Honestly, they actually found a way to make her even more adorable here. And I know, how is that even possible? You're gonna have to watch to see for yourself. Right after watching this, I wanted to buy a figure. Rengoku the Flame Hashira. Apart from Tanjiro, the next most screen time goes to this flaming dude. You briefly did get to see him introduced in the TV anime, but this movie actually feels like his Demon Slayer debut. Really, anything that you could describe as god tier, you give it to this guy. Now flipping it over to the negatives quickly. Tanjiro. Nothing really directly for him, but I hope you love him since you're gonna get him a ton. Which really wasn't an issue for me, although in certain parts of the movie it feels like they just handicapped him on purpose. Inosuke. It is sad to say, but it feels like he's only in this movie for the comedy role. Don't expect much else. Zenitsu and Nezuko. Likewise, for both of these, don't expect much. Honestly, you might be able to cut both of them without noticing. This movie definitely needed a lot more Nezuko. Rengoku. So they really try to establish his character and build him up through flashbacks, but honestly anything story-wise surrounding him felt flat for me. He could have either used a lot more screen time or really just fleshing him out before this actual movie. Trying to be fair to him, there has been a special one-shot release manga for him. This is for like the first 500,000 people going on opening day to see the Demon Slayer movie. So there's that. And then for the actual villain, notice that I waited till this section to get to him. You've seen the 12th moon in the trailer, but really anything surrounding this character is pretty forgettable. Practically any of the demons in the anime were much more memorable, even the first one. This one felt phoned in. This isn't even getting into what seemingly feels like a convoluted plot to take out Tanjiro and friends. And let me just get to it, you might be sensing part of my frustration for this Demon Slayer movie. Being real with you, this is why I was kind of dragging my feet to start this review. Honestly, for most of this movie, it felt like it was somewhere in the middle for me. It felt like an average episode. After thinking about it for a day, I think I figured out the underlying issue. This is supposed to be a Demon Slayer anime movie, but that's where it ultimately fails. This doesn't feel like a movie at all. And just being fair to the source material, the source for this mini arc was not crafted to be on that level. As a movie, it ultimately ends up feeling lukewarm. For the actual story going on, it feels like really nothing got resolved. Instead, it mostly felt like a setup for bigger future events to come, which should be around the corner with season 2. The supposed movie instead feels like what should be 6 or so episodes, combined together. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if that was originally planned. This Demon Slayer movie being called a movie is really being mislabeled. It feels much more what would be a theater OVA. Anyone seen the Re:Zero OVAs or the Goblin Slayer OVA special? Yeah, similar feeling to those. In fact, I actually felt like I was dozing off for chunks of it. I know some of you asked on Twitter, I was fully rested for this. I don't think I've ever found a story that was more awfully restricted by its source material. You're gonna watch this and you could tell that Ufotable wanted to have the characters do more, but they were shackled by the manga's source material. And let me just stress, I do think the movie overall is still enjoyable, but any expectations for it seem to be sky high. Trust me when I say Demon Slayer is freakingly extremely popular here in Japan. I know that got me more hyped to see this without even me trying. But let's be honest, this movie really should have never been elevated that much. What is movie level here is the animation. So let's get into it. Ufotable is back, that god tier animation studio. In the movie, there's really 6 action sequences, 2 main ones, 4 quick ones, and yes, I was counting in the middle of zoning out. But let me be real with you, I wasn't too impressed here. Part of me is comparing it to the recent Heaven's Feel movie finale, which looked absolutely gorgeous. Even if you ignore that, none of the action sequences you actually see here are more impressive than what you saw in the regular TV animation. Which again, let me stress out, don't get me wrong, it was still great to look at. For example, one of the standout flashy early scenes was something involving the Flame Hashira. Freaking Ufotable showed this in 3 different angles. I want to just watch that on repeat. On the flip side, unfortunately the movie does commit a huge animation sin, some of which you see in the trailer, all those CG blobs. I'll expand on this in the actual spoiler section, just know it's a huge negative for me. And I know, I hate sounding so negative, especially for something I wanted to love, or at least like. Thankfully, I do have a huge positive. The final animation action sequence really saved the movie for me. If anything, this movie is worth seeing for that alone. That by far earned my $20 for the movie ticket. Next up, the music. For here, it honestly felt muted compared to the anime, and perhaps it was done on purpose, really just to set the mood for the train ride. The actual standout here is actually Lisa's new song. For that, you're actually gonna have to wait until the ending. If anything gave me feels for the movie, it was surely Lisa's new hit, which is a very welcome change in Japan. Just know that a lot of places here really spam the Demon Slayer opening so much. It's like the new Frozen for me. Alright, so let me get into something positive. Comparing it to the actual manga, and I'm keeping this non-spoiler, I actually got the first taste of the Demon Slayer manga reading the corresponding chapters for the movie. This is when I realized, my god, the movie and anime really elevate the source material so much. Every single scene has so much added detail compared to the manga. Take note, A1 Pictures, your eyes will orgasm if you're a massive manga fan. Alright, so getting to the billion-dollar question, should you watch? Despite what seems like my lukewarm experience, if you love Demon Slayer and enjoy the TV Demon Slayer anime, this is a must watch. I highly recommend it. You're gonna get a blast out of this movie. That said, I highly would not suggest rushing out to see this in a super packed theater like I did. This Demon Slayer movie is definitely not worth becoming an infected. If I get taken out from seeing this movie, I'm gonna come back as a demon. For where I personally stand right now, I wouldn't even rewatch this anytime soon. I think I would only rewatch the Danjiro scene and the 2 fights for the animation alone right before the Inevitable Season 2 comes out. Which by the way, unfortunately, sad news, they didn't even tease you with the post-credit scene. Either way, hopefully my review has lowered any expectations you had of it. That way, when you actually get to watch it, you're gonna enjoy it much better. At the end of the day, if you're interested in the Demon Slayer story, this movie is required watching since it's canon. I mentioned Demon Slayer Season 2, surprisingly that hasn't been announced. I really thought there would be an explicit teaser and some post-credit. You know, Marvel style. But trust me, Demon Slayer Season 2 is coming, 100% chance. This Demon Slayer movie is about to break dozens of records week after week. And that's despite the current global situation. I wasn't joking about what I mentioned about social distancing removed in the theaters. Hell, that just gives me PTSD flashbacks of the guy next to me eating the entire time. Hell, if they want to maximize their profits, just keep on milking the Demon Slayer cow by making each sequel a theater movie release. So fun fact, my Japanese buddy told me this movie already made 1.2 billion opening day. Some places have it estimated as being the biggest opening weekend of all time. That is freaking insane. How is this possible? It really feels like this Demon Slayer movie is about to become the new Weathering With You or Kimi no Na wa, even though it's nowhere near those levels. Also, another fun fact, credit to my buddy, calculating that Demon Slayer was playing in the theater we went to 99 times that day. I'm sure all of those super crowded. So let me know, are you hyped to see this? Maybe now with better expectations after watching this? Or are you someone that's already lost some of the love due to the whole Demon Slayer backlash? I'm really curious to see where you stand, so post below. Or just say hi, I will be reading. And for anyone not in Japan, I'm really not sure when it'll be possible to watch this. If I do see anything, I'll tweet about it. Alright, next up, getting into the quick spoiler section. This will only be talking about the 16 chapters that the movie covers. I haven't read past it. But really, is there much to spoil? If you do got a specific question, ask away below, the sooner the better. For the movie as a whole, pretty much anything beyond stills got elevated tons. From Nezuko smashing her head, to her using her demon's fire to wake up Danjiro. Some of the background and scenery shots look beautiful. An example is Danjiro's mine scene. You could bet trolls are gonna claim they ripped off Tokyo Ghoul for that. One of the scenes that actually stood out for Danjiro for me was him trying to wake himself up. Oh yeah, so slashes when he offs himself, you could feel those. For the actual animation sin they committed, those freaking CG blobs. My god, do I hate it when anime or movies in general make you fight literal CG blobs or thick tentacles in this case. I'm really glad they didn't do this for the actual anime. They even gave Nezuko the tentacle treatment for a quick second. Unfortunately, this is really all that Nezuko, Inosuke, and Zenitsu got to fight. So exciting. For an actual weird scene, do you know that Zenitsu mine scene in the manga? For the actual anime movie, those overgrown scissors made it seem like he wanted to do a little snippy snip. You know, just off his mini titan in the actual movie expanded scene. I was like, huh? Is that what they were aiming for? And then for the Flame Hashira, the only real thing you could claim is on god tier level for the movie. Really outstanding animation. After reading the manga afterwards, I was even more impressed. That said, his whole death and sacrifice, I wanted to feel it, but I just didn't. But who knows, maybe this will get you. I could actually hear a lot of people in the crowd crying, which included my buddy. Perhaps that'll get me on the rewatch. But anyway, hopefully you enjoyed. Bonus question of the day, who is your favorite Demon Slayer character? Is it Nezuko, Inosuke? Share with me below. Go ahead and subscribe for more weekly anime videos. I know half of you aren't. Watch my in-depth SAO Season 3 review in case you missed it. And I'll see you guys later.